Data centers have raised concerns about resource consumption, sound, and other impacts. This short series of dedicated Citizens Academy videos will dive into Louisa County's approach, answer commonly asked questions, and provide details on opportunities for public input. This video will discuss FAQs. AWS data centers are cooled by non-potable, untreated water. A new water pumping station and water lines will support both campuses. Private wells will be used to serve the first phase of the development. Once the Louisa County Water Authority (LCWA) delivers cooling water to the site in March 2027, any on-site wells will be used for redundancy and contingency purposes. AWS is reimbursing the county for the full cost of the infrastructure. Northeast Creek Reservoir will provide the water, and studies using drought conditions show a safe yield of millions of gallons per day. Technology for data centers is improving, and while daily consumption may vary due to factors like temperature, AWS's water demand projections are decreasing due to technological improvements. In times of drought, data center facilities in the county will not receive favorable treatment in drought conditions. When water use restrictions are deemed necessary for LCWA customers in times of unusually dry conditions, the same restrictions will also apply to data center facilities. As of summer 2026, any current water restrictions are wholly unrelated. At the Shannon Hill Regional Business Park, EdgeCore will not be connected to the Northeast Creek Reservoir. EdgeCore will employ a closed-loop air-cooled system that uses very little water to cool its facilities and carries an equivalent usage to only 35 homes at full build-out. Improvements to the power grid are expected over the course of the data center development. The power utilities and/or data centers will be responsible for the upgrades and associated costs. Dominion and Rappahannock Electric Cooperative, or REC, will provide the electrical service for the AWS campuses. Local rates are regulated by the State Corporation Commission, or SCC, not the county. Rate changes are subject to SCC approval based on broad system costs, not individual developments. Neither Dominion nor REC have indicated that data center development in Louisa County will affect local rates. We encourage residents to follow legislation regarding data centers paying for increased power consumption related to their operations. In accordance with Virginia Code Section 56-234, it shall be the duty of every public utility to furnish reasonably adequate service and facilities at reasonable and just rates to any person, firm, or corporation along its lines desiring same. In Virginia, a load letter is required to determine when a utility can provide electrical service to a new customer. The process may vary between utility providers, but this is a process that is handled between the utility and the project owner and does not involve the county. Data centers may not disclose power consumption needs other than to a utility in order to remain competitive. Data center development is intentionally located in close proximity to existing high-voltage power lines. Local utility service providers informed the county that data centers would utilize either the existing lines or upgrades within the current utility corridor. The county was unaware of the Valley Link project when zoning supporting data centers was established. Utility companies do not provide capacity information to the county, and no agreement exists between a utility company and the county regarding data centers. Citizens should also be aware that data centers utilizing water cooling technology use less power than air cooling. The AWS campuses are located in Technology Overlay Districts (TODs), and the Shannon Hill Regional Business Park, where EdgeCore is located, is zoned industrial. TOD standards are the most restrictive development standards in the county. The standards address allowable decibel levels and require substantial buffer and setbacks to mitigate noise issues. Data centers in other localities are sometimes located very close to the residential areas, but the strict standards of the TOD will provide distance to allow the sound to dissipate. The AWS data centers locating in the TOD will also leverage water cooling technology, which is a quieter alternative to air cooling technology. The data center campus in the Shannon Hill Regional Business Park must adhere to noise levels for industrial zoning. The TOD sets a noise limit of 65 decibels at the property line near residential or agricultural land, about the volume of a normal conversation. Sound dissipates in a number of ways, and in open air, a sound measured at 65 decibels 200 feet from the source may drop to 37 decibels at 1 mile from the source. This dBA is equivalent to whispering from several feet away or a bedroom with little activity. Perfect silence of 0 decibels is technically not possible in the real world. And for reference, a remote wilderness at night typically measures between 15 and 30 dBA. Human ears may perceive 10 dBA as complete silence. Variations in sound may also be impacted by temperature, humidity, wind, and air pressure. The county cares deeply about its rural character. Strict development standards will ensure that AWS campuses have minimal impact at full build-out. The total acreage of Louisa County is approximately 328,960 acres. The data center campuses coming to Louisa total around 2,300 acres, or 0.007% of the total county. Shannon Hill's sizable acreage allows for significant buffers around EdgeCore's facilities, and the park's development will adhere to the county's zoning requirements. Also, AWS may donate 380 acres of land to the county within the North Creek Technology Campus, and the county intends to use the land to benefit the residents. Community meetings will be held to collect public input on potential uses for the land, as well as gather input from citizens on how they would like to see the revenue used in county programs. In identifying areas for the TOD, roads were a major consideration and parcels considered, which had ample capacity on the surrounding transportation network. For example, one nearby road is currently only at 13% of its capacity during its peak hours. Based on these capacities, traffic impacts should be minimal following construction. However, the county collaborates with developers on an ongoing basis to minimize disruptions during build-out. Our priority is to integrate the project thoughtfully into the existing infrastructure and reduce construction congestion. At a public hearing on the establishment of the TOD, information was presented that reflects Virginia Department of Transportation information and traffic associated with a real-world example technology sector business. Though the roads have capacity to handle more cars, we are working with Amazon to divert construction traffic to minimize the impact. A new public road will be constructed on the North Creek Technology Campus to provide access to multiple development phases of this campus and to mitigate the need for multiple construction entrances from adjoining public roads. The Shannon Hill Regional Business Park is located less than 1 mile from Interstate 64. Jobs will vary based on the number of units built, but several hundred are likely at full build-out. Local businesses are encouraged to monitor bid solicitations related to this project that align with services they offer. Clark Construction is currently working on the AWS sites. AWS has expressed interest in collaborating with Louisa County Public Schools to establish CTE course curriculum focused on operations and maintenance of data center facilities. All new development projects in the county must adhere to permitting regulations at the local, state, and federal level that address impacts of development projects prior to, during, and after construction. The county is working with AWS to reduce construction impacts. The projected build-out for the AWS campuses is 15 years. Market demand for data storage will determine how fast the campuses are developed. The project owners complied with normal requirements from the state's Department of Historic Resources to mitigate any impact to historic resources. All permitting from the Virginia Department of Historic Resources and U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for campuses and campus development phases under construction has been obtained. We encourage citizens to watch the other Citizens Academy videos dedicated to local data center information, as well as the Citizens Academy video that explains the conditional use permit or CUP process. Learn more at louisacounty.gov.